In Pakistan, we estimate that around 72.5% of the labor force operates in the informal economy.
There's 3/4 of the total, right?
It is indeed. And of course, we know the challenges faced by informal economy work.
When it comes to Pakistan, there is a huge informal economy, and we often see like the forced labor or the child labor. What are the key challenges where Pakistan has faced to mitigate or to address this issue properly? I mean, like, why this much abnormal numbers are out there when it comes to child labor or like forced labor? Specifically, I mean, asking about the Pakistan.
Child labor is not something that happens because a mother or father are bad parents and send their kids to the fields instead of school. It happens because it is the economic reality that the family does not have the means to sustain themselves.
How is ILO like trying to marginalize women in such economies? Equal treatment in terms of wages is important in order to have a balanced economy. Plus, how ILO also helps in implementing recruitment policies in Pakistan.
We work at different levels. On the one hand, you have this sort of work to improve the policy environment. And then we work also directly with our partners, with the employers and with the workers to sensitize them to the importance of equality and the importance of diversity in the workplace.
Workers who work in Scandinavian countries, obviously, I mean, they enjoy their work, they really, I mean, rewarded really well. But when it comes to developing or struggling economies, obviously, with no rights, they feel deprived. Are these few basic common rights are same, or it varies from country to country, or it varies from region to region?
Of course, each country makes their own laws. So each country will have their labor laws, and what we do is provide international labor standards, and these are minimum standards. And when a country ratifies an ILO labor standard, that country makes a commitment to building the provisions of the labor standards, so taking whatever the labor standard says, and build that into their national laws.
Most of our labor force is based in Gulf countries as well. Are these migrant workers are properly given the rights, or there is a huge space to work on? They send us remittances and we enjoy the remittances.
Yes.
But when it comes to right, I mean, we shy. Why is there so?
Labor migration to some countries has proven challenging, and of course we are all aware there have been abuses, and that is why we are concerned that before leaving, the migrant workers have to be prepared, and whilst they are abroad, their rights have to be protected.
It has, created, I cannot even say a disbalance, but created a rapid change in this workforce, in this attitude of workforce, on this field of work. It has created a huge impact. Like,
it caught the world unprepared in many ways, and it created a shock to the labor market, and it certainly showed how much of the global workforce is not protected by social protection measures, social security measures. I can draw a parallel to what we saw here in Pakistan in 2022 when the tremendous, devastating floods hit. Again, people who did not have any social protection, any social security, were the ones worst hit by the floods.
Sometimes they feel like climate change is not going to disrupt us because we don't live in mountains. For them, you have said it really well. It's going to affect everyone. Like a worker working on a road, on a factory, or anywhere. Heat is just one example, right?
Well, I think you mentioned it very correctly, particularly environment, heat, pollution. Remember, Pakistan has a huge textile industry. There's a lot of chemicals in that industry, and a lot of those chemicals end up in places where it shouldn't be. So, but I think I see increasingly awareness around this.
Fortunately, Pakistan, when it comes to index or when it comes to ranking, Pakistan always stand in like what stand? Where exactly Pakistan stands in like ILO's definition, ILO's index, or when it comes to labor rights?
Well, ILO does not have an index as such. We engage in countries in four main areas: employment creation, we engage on social protection, we engage on international labor standards, and we engage in what we call social dialogue.
What is the actual or the real definition or true definition of labor? Are we all labor?
Well, I think most of us are workers in one way or another. We believe that work should be entered into freely and performed in conditions of security, of human dignity and equity. And that is the rationale for ILO's mandate of decent work.
People who were away from the technology are now trying to be tech friendly, and because they see like the world has changed, the perspectives have been changed, and it's a global economy now. How do you see in ILO's perspective, like, is Pakistan prepared for future scope of work?
New technologies and artificial intelligence. Increasingly, you're at risk of deepening an already existing what we call digital divide between those who master these new technologies and those who do not have the access, those who do not have the training, and who therefore will fall further behind in that race. So that is a concern. There's a large demand for skilled migrant workers as opposed to unskilled migrant workers. And I think that is a very positive trend, because it's evidence also shows that a skilled migrant worker remits 3 times as much as an unskilled migrant worker.
What are your personal insights about despite being optimistic, like how do you see Pakistan can come out this and make we should be optimistic, but do you literally feel like in this shorter period of time or in following or in coming years Pakistan can turn around things and capitalize this huge resource which it has, but has been unable to cope it? I mean, it's a strength, right? If we will misuse this strength, it can be disastrous, right?
It is a tremendous advantage to have a young and dynamic population, and that, of course, should be tapped into. Imagine the potential for all these young people if they were given entrepreneurship training, if they were given skills that were increasingly in demand, if they were able to generate growth through starting enterprises, starting small businesses. We need to, focus some of the energy, ensure that they don't all end up as operators in the informal economy.
Have you been to North, by the way? You mentioned just North there.
I've just been, my colleagues have been, and they've shown me the pictures, and I'm just trying to find the right time to go. It takes a bit of planning, but it looks absolutely breathtaking.
Basically, we belong to North, so I asked this question.
Oh, wonderful.
You can be our guest now.